Greetings, everyone. So today I'm going to talk about narcissism and how you feel when you are around the narcissist or the narcissists. You will feel smothered. If you remember when you were a little kid and you were roughhousing around, and maybe your big brother or your brother got you down on the floor and had you pinned and you couldn't move because you weren't strong enough to get out of his reach, or you weren't big enough. That's how being around these people feels. And it'll be internally inside of you, and you won't know. You will know something is off, but you might have to step back a little bit and think about it and analyze it from a distance to realize you're dealing with a narcissist or narcissists. Also, I notice that if I'm around a person, like a more manipulative person like that, I begin to lose my sense of self. And it even happened in the past for me. I used to do a lot of fitness. I still do a different kind of fitness, but not what I used to, because I had a hip replacement. But the narcissist will attack you. They will attack your sense of self. So whatever you are really good in, whatever is a passion for you, maybe you got a college degree or a certification in something that means a lot to you. That's where they will attack you. So it does go back to feeling smothered, because every time you try to do something that makes you feel good, that fulfills your heart, that fulfills your passion or passions, they will attack it. And the narcissist or manipulative person that is really good at doing this, you won't even understand what's going on. And that's the scary stuff right there. So let's say you went to your local gym or your local health club and you signed up for fitness instructor training, like maybe 5 different formats. Let's say you're living with a narcissist. They're not a romantic partner, but they're either your sister or a supposedly good friend that you are roommating with. Well, your narcissist roommate is the person that is supposed to drive you to these fitness instructor trainings or pick you up. They will conveniently not be able to take you to those. Like, they might call you or text you and say, "I'm really sorry, I'm in traffic," something really lame. Or they might say, "I'm really sorry I can't make it," because they got to make themselves look good. "I'm really sorry I can't make it, but I have to work late today." Something. And it's going to look like they're not really trying to sabotage you, but they are. So that's where your internal compass is feeling smothered. And there are other ways that you feel smothered. I've noticed this with myself. And the very crafty, manipulative person is going to be so good at what they're doing that you're going to kind of question it and say, "It seems like this is a really good person. Like, she seems like a really cool person and that she cares about me and whatever." But they really don't. They're good at pretending they care about you, but they don't really care about you. And because they're so insecure and feeling bad about themselves deep inside, they're going to do everything that they can to sabotage you, your success, your love life, your sex life, whatever it is. They are going to make sure that they run some type of interference. And the really, really covert passive aggressive will do it, and you will think that they're doing you a favor. That's how crazy it is. So, and I think when it gets that diabolical, it's more into the dark triad. And as I had said, I really, really did not understand the dark triad for a long time. It was so confusing to me. But if you guys go read up or listen to some of the dark triad videos, what's the gal's name? Michelle Nieves, Dr. Romani. Oh, what's the other one? There's another lady that I like. I can't think of her name. But there's this other narcissism channel that I really like. And she's a Caucasian American woman living in Mexico. Meredith something. I really like the way she explains stuff. So anyways, you're going to feel confined. And that's really what you are. Because in order to control you, they have to confine you. But it's going to be like it's not going to really be a cage that we see in the physical, but it's going to be like this metaphysical type cage that you've been put in. And you're not really, it's really kind of hard to see that or to feel that, because it's going to be all this locking you up, metaphysically or metaphorically, is going to be blanketed with, well, we really care about you. We really love you. Are you sure you want to do fitness instructor training? Whatever it is. So it's like a mind F. You know what I mean? It's a real mind F. And one thing that I noticed with myself, like I'm just going to use fitness as an example because it's easy, was I noticed that people that are more like that would not acknowledge that I was like a fitness instructor, or they would just pretend as if they didn't hear what I said. Or anytime I try to give advice, not that I always did, but I'm kind of like I do like to help people when I can, but I've learned to just be a little bit, don't always help people. It's not that you can't, but just, give it out like you would child candy, very sparingly, because there's no reason you need to be helping everyone. You need to help yourself. But you will feel really like I've seen movies and television shows and also heard narcissism channels talk about children or young teenagers or even young adults that are really smothered. They're not allowed to choose what career they want. Maybe they're from a wealthy family and dad will pay for the school as long as that child does exactly what dad wants. Or maybe they're going to make him go to med school when he really doesn't want to be a doctor. But he has to do it because dad did it, grandpa did it, great-grandpa did it, all that kind of thing. So they're not really allowed to be their authentic self. And for me, I found that I feel really smothered when people are doing that to me a lot. And I'm talking about the more devilish, narcissistic, mean type of spirit. Not just somebody who's like a little bit jealous. That's a little different. They have to be full-blown narcissists doing all these various tactics. And you will feel like you want to scream. I've had a lot of jobs like that. We all have. And I don't, like when I was younger, I had a viewpoint of things in a different way. A lot of wealthy people are stuck too. Like we're always saying, oh, wealthy people have it so great. Not all the time. Because if you're around a controlling, manipulative monster, your life really isn't your own. So that means you're not encouraged to draw or paint because you're like a really good artist, you are not encouraged to do what you are good in. You are not encouraged to better yourself. You are not encouraged to read self-help books. You're not, in fact, Michelle Nieves talked a lot about how her ex-covert husband really, that lady has some amazing information on covert, really, because she dealt with that in her previous marriage. That's where she learned what narcissism was. He didn't like her reading. So, yeah, that's where the smothering comes in. Or maybe you're married to a narcissistic husband, gay, straight, whatever it is, and they're always telling you exactly how to dress. Like, not from a standpoint where, babe, I think you'd look really good in this black suit. It's like, oh, here, wear this. You know what I mean? So it's like any kind of freedom is hampered. And a lot of times if a person's been in this situation or relationship, if we want to call it that, for a long time, it's harder for them to, I mean, maybe it depends on the person, but I think it would be harder to really decipher that you are not free, that you are being smothered because you've been in it so long. It's like that old, I don't know where it originates from, but if you guys have ever heard of that story, which is very sad to me, of the circus elephant, that their leg was chained as a young elephant, which is very sick to me. But their leg was chained and they weren't allowed to like roam and move. And then they don't move. You know what I mean? Like they learn to just stand there, which is so, makes me want to cry. It's so terrible. I think that's the same, there's a lot of same behaviors in humans, children as well. So how would you be able to know that you're smothered or being like hampered? There's another word I thought of earlier. I can't remember what it was. Unless, how would you know it if you've never had the freedom? Me personally, I think that's why a lot of those Scientologists are staying, and there's a lot more to that, but that's a high control group. It's just very, very horrible. But what I noticed in myself is that I start to feel really annoyed when I talk to people. Like, if I'm around a person that's more controlling, always telling me what to do, or always advising, or always saying, giving me homework, and this is just like a general, like that woman I was telling you about with the hips and all that, do this, do that, and I don't even know you. Like, my thoughts are fuck all the way off. I might find out, like, I might originally, like, initially think when it's all going on, okay, like, say you go to the chiropractor and you want to get help for your back. The chiropractor is going to give you exercises, tell you this is going to help you. That's different. If you're getting unsolicited advice from someone you don't even really hardly know, I don't really like that. It's kind of a boundary violation to me. I might be just over the top, but I feel like it's weird. If it doesn't fit the situation, that seems weird to me. So, yeah, I've had a lot of experiences where I was feeling smothered. And you might feel smothered in a situation that's not like 1,000% narcissistic. It might be maybe these friends or these people you're around, they're just kind of way too different for you, and you guys have different viewpoints, different ways of living or whatever. That's a little different. But what smothering is like a lack of oxygen, a lack of air. And it's, if you're having conversations with a person or interactions with a person, and it becomes dreadful, like you don't even feel like talking to them, or you don't want to hear what they have to say, or you think, oh, here we go again. That's kind of a hint that this person's not good for you. I personally feel that if you start to feel smothered, the person that you're around, or persons, because it can be more than one person, they're always directing you. And I don't say it from a standpoint like maybe you go to a new job, or maybe you go to do a college internship and they're just showing you, this is how it goes, this is how it goes, to, show you the ropes and then let you do what you need to do. But it's always too much. It's like, I'm trying to think of an example. Let's say you're in a romantic relationship and your husband has this sports car that he really likes, but you want to drive it because you're feeling really kind of cool driving it and whatever. And then he goes and he explains everything, where the gears are, where the air conditioner, all that kind of stuff, and then he goes into great detail. Don't open the glove box because, I have something in there you don't want, or, always leave the steering wheel like this. Always make sure that the seat is all the way back so I can get in. Like, some of that is okay. But let's just say, then he goes on and he tells you, make sure that the light is turned off on the roof of the car. This is so goofy. I can't think of good stuff. But, make sure that the trunk is locked. Make sure that the back seat has, extra cleaning supplies. And he just keeps going on and on and on. And you've got like this list. And it's not because, some men, you guys know how some men are about their cars, but it's not just because he loves his car and he wants it clean or whatever. It's all about control. So it wouldn't be just a guy who wants to make sure his car is clean and in good shape. It'll take it to the next level, that where you're like just stressed out thinking about it. And then you don't want to drive the car anymore. And that was the intention, really. Because it's all about control. So that'll make you feel smothered when someone is just, oh, you have to do it like this. And okay, I just thought of a good example. Sorry, I got a butterscotch. But oh my God, I remember how irritated I was. So there's this one particular job I had. It was a social work job. And I'm glad I took the job. I got fired from it later, but it's a whole long story, but I'm really glad I got fired. I hated it there. It was just one of those jobs where you walk in and you're like, oh my God. It started out with lies. So when you start out with lies, it was narcissism on crack, man. So I almost said her name. One of my managers, biggest pain in the ass of my life. Let's call her Joni. Joni was the biggest pain in the ass I've ever dealt with in my life. She'd worked in social work her whole life. Various kind of jobs. She knew like the policies and regulations of the county and all this stuff. And I'll probably do another video on that whole theme right there. The whole, I've been working in this job for 30 years. And anyways, So I was working with elderly people, which I actually really enjoy. And so this Joni lady was taking me to see one of the clients. And I am not kidding you. She was telling me, like, okay, now mind you, the city I'm from, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I know it like the back of my hand. I lived there my whole life. I'm not there anymore, but I knew that city left like the back of my hand. She was telling me that when I went to this specific place, this specific client house, I needed to get over to the right. You know, like when you're on the freeway and then you're in the middle lane and then you get in the right lane. She's telling me exactly what it's crazy. Exactly how I needed to do it. So, you have to go, you're in the middle lane, then you go to the right lane, and now you have to take the second exit. And then you get into that exit, you go all the way to the right, you make a right turn, and then you go 15 feet, and then it's off to the left. I mean, it was really, I was looking at her like, I was honestly, you guys, in my mind, I was like, fuck all the way off with that. I'm going to go the way I go. And actually it was one of my neighborhoods. So I just remember thinking this, is crazy. And they couldn't control me at all. And it wasn't like I actually was doing a good job, but it was all about, these two women that I worked with, the manager and then the owner, were so completely nasty and narcissistic that it wasn't about me doing a good job or learning to do the job. It was about how much they can control me. And I didn't fit in from day one. And it was really it was sad to be treated like that, but whatever, it worked out in the end. But I just remember feeling like this bee is crazy. She really wanted to make sure that when I was going off and doing the visit on my own, that I took the exact route she told me. It was nuts. It wasn't as if I didn't know the city. It wasn't as if that was really the only way. Like sometimes if you're on a freeway or a highway, you do need to take a specific exit. You do need to take a specific, because it's so weird and wonky that you can't get to the location without going that way. That wasn't the case. So and she was just something else. But in fact, I did feel extremely smothered there. And I did what I had to do as far as the work responsibilities, but they were so nasty, just nasty. And literally the other women that wound up staying, because this woman did fire a lot of people. I don't want to get into all the details, but just nasty. So the women that were there were tolerating it. And then the director that was there, she did have like one or two favorites. So they got to get away with whatever. And anyways, I just remember being so put off by that. Like, like when this manager lady she was driving me in her car and she was telling me, I think she took me out, or I had to drive once, and she was in my car. And she literally was telling me, get in the next lane, get in this lane, like as if I don't know how to drive. At that point, I was in my late 40s. I think I know how to drive, It was so insane to me. So that always goes back to, if something in the situation doesn't feel like it fits, like if something doesn't fit the scenario that you're in, like it's too much, or if it's too little. I mean, I can't think of examples for that. But if it's just not fitting, it's like something's off. Like, I mean, I guess not enough might be a narcissist husband that completely forgets your birthday. Even though that is something, that's like not enough. You know what I mean? So if you're feeling stifled, that's a good word right there. If you're feeling really stifled, like you cannot express yourself, like you cannot do a job freely the way you want to do, If your dad is telling you have to take advanced calculus and you don't want to take advanced calculus, and you're doing all these things dad wants you to do and you're feeling like you can't breathe, that is a narcissist you're dealing with. And these folks are everywhere. They are everywhere. I had an interaction with a neighbor not long ago, and I was very disappointed in her behaviors. But I thought to myself, I'm like, well, that's good. I found out right away. Instead of getting, totally immersed and maybe spending time with this person, I learned right away. I'm like, oh, that's what she is. So with the narcissist, always gauge what's going on in your life by how you feel. And if you've dealt with a lot of trauma in your past, which a lot of us have, some more so than others, that's going to throw your compass off. And that's why I feel people that were exposed to more trauma need to really learn how these abusive, manipulative, narcissistic types are, because the more you're aware of how they operate, the less you will be susceptible to their manipulations. And as much studying as I've done, I still fall for it. Even Dr. Romani says she still gets played. But the positive in all of that is that you're being played, and then you're like, deuces. So I hope this was helpful. I'm going to be having some more videos coming out. I'm feeling like recording some videos today. So you guys have a good day or a good night wherever you are. Like and subscribe if you feel so. And again, have a good day. And peace.